Welcome to episode 93 of the Final Corner podcast. On this week's show, we're going to be talking about the Dutch Grand Prix, but first, it's Donington Park for the British Touring Cars, the Grand Prix circuit, which we enjoyed last year when we went to visit it. And we're back to full strength this week, with Tom joining us back from Germany, as well as Nick. Welcome back.
Hello.
Thank you very much. Really enjoyed listening to the mid-season F1 review episode that you both did. Well done for recording and editing. And I listened to that while driving back from Newcastle the other day.
Driving back in your Porsche, were you?
No, just to be clear, I was in the back of someone else's Porsche editing the BTCC podcast. This is all a bit inside baseball, isn't it? We should perhaps move on.
Did you enjoy Germany anyway?
Yeah, fantastic. Really good, really busy. Lots of stuff on the Traction website if you're into racing games.
Good. Nick, where did you go over the weekend? Anywhere fun?
I popped to Morrison's at one point.
Ah, lovely.
Oh, now, I do like Morrison's. Underrated supermarket.
They've got all the market stalls and everything. It makes you feel like you've went back in time.
It does a bit.
Does yours have dry ice over the veg?
No. Mine's quite a small one. It's a bit naff, to be honest.
I like going to my Morrison's because it's built on the site of Falkirk's old stadium, Buckwell Park. So when you go in, they've got like all manifestation on the windows of fans and players and pictures of the stadium and like things, and they've got a turnstile in the car park. It's a wee trip back down memory lane. I know people that only do their shopping there because it's at Brockville, and I know people who haven't been to that part of town in 20 years because they don't want to see that part of town look like a Morrison's when it used to be a stadium. So it's very polarising where I am, Morrison's.
Wow, I've never heard of anything like that.
Yeah. And this is what everyone tunes in for.
Exactly. Touring cars, we'll start there. Donington Park Grand Prix, where we were last year, and the weather looked fairly similar to what we experienced off 4 seasons in one day.
Is it ever warm at Donington? I pose that question. If anyone has been to Donington and worn shorts, let us know on Twitter, at Final Chord Pod.
I did.
Oh, yeah, okay, right. Worn shorts in the appropriate weather.
I wear shorts all year round.
Fair enough. I ended up looking like Shell Suit Bob that day because I got trackies and a tracky top, intending to change into jeans, but then it peed down the rain all day, so I just... I was on TV looking like a complete Ned. So, anyway. Right, touring cars. While we were away, Ronan Pearson left Accelerate, which was amicable and, what did you say, mutual agreement, apparently. We don't know why, but on the last podcast, Tom did note that he was disappointed in him for his performance, so I think it's all on Tom that he lost his drive.
I'm very sorry, Ronan. But as the season went on, I think he had a promising 2023, got that first race victory, and we thought, right, this is going to catapult him, springboard him up the leaderboard. He's going to be really there challenging Ingram, and it just hasn't. It's just faded away. I'm sure there's multiple reasons for that, but ultimately, this quote-unquote amicable agreement means that Pearson's not on the grid anymore.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll be back for next season, because he certainly was good enough to be there. The fact that he's won, is it 2 races now? Because I think he win one last year and one this year.
I think this year's was his first, was it not?
Oh, was it? Oh, right.
Did he get across the line first and get a ride height?
Yeah, quite possibly. The Hyundai does tend to do that.
Anyway, he's had podiums last year, anyway, no doubt.
He was replaced by Dan Zelos, who, to be honest, I had never heard of before. Nick, you've
not been watching many support races.
Yeah, he's been around in the paddock for a long time.
Yeah, but I'm not overly familiar with his work either, to be honest.
But he did fairly well, to be honest.
Promising.
Yeah, he outperformed Scott Sumpton, which is not a great look. But we'll come to Scott later. And also, literally about 5 seconds after we stopped recording our Not Killed episode, BTCC announced their junior series.
Yes.
Which we didn't end up speaking about on mic, but we did do about 20 minutes off mic on, which was useful. So we'll quickly cover it here. They've built a car from 1994, which is bizarre. And it's going to cost you like $100,000 to drive it.
Yeah, that's.
It's an awful lot of money, but I don't know if that is cheap in relative terms.
I think it kind of is. I mean, that is the cost to buy the car. And from when I was researching it, it looks as if spare parts, presumably within a certain amount of budget, are included in that. But you also have to pay an entry fee of nearly 30 grand for the championship. But,
well, because you could own a car and enter 3 seasons, I guess. So you've got to have some recurring revenue of some sort.
But I like the fact the car is quite basic. The fact they're going to have to learn to drive it properly. It's a proper manual gearbox, naturally aspirated car, rear wheel drive. It should be good for learning.
Is that completely irrelevant in 2024? Like, do aspiring drivers need to know how to heel and toe and change gears with a hitch pattern?
Not necessarily know those skills, but the skills that come with it, like the car control and learning how the car moves and all that sort of thing. I think you learn that better through the physical feeling you get through all the clutch pedal, the gearbox, all that sort of thing.
Yep.
Personally, I think that is better to learn that way, because anyone can use a sequential shift gearbox, but knowing how it works, that helps a lot.
I mean, I agree. I'm all for teaching young drivers all these skills. I was playing devil's advocate there. I mean, surely there will be some who go from karting straight into a single seater though, and never have to drive a manual gearbox. But in terms of an ideal recipe, it's cool. I mean, naturally aspirated is very old-fashioned as well, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those. Is it going to be an entertaining junior series to watch? I probably think yes. Is it going to prep someone to go straight from this car to a BTCC car? It's probably a bit of a jump.
Yeah. But then it's kind of it's still missing the Clio Cup, because people used to go from Ginetta Juniors to Clios to touring cars.
Wouldn't you do minis now?
You would, but I'm not sure how.
Doesn't it have the same allure as the Clio, so does it?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. I think it's there, but it's not as prestigious and it's not as well watched.
Because the Clio Cup, Renault Sport still makes Clios for a one-make championship, but it's on the continent, it's not in the UK.
Yeah.
And they have the current generation shape Clio available, but for whatever reason, I'm sure there are many, the UK divisions folded, I guess. And Mini was there to step into the breach, which is fantastic. So maybe that's the route. If you want to get into touring cars, this Junior Series Minis BTCC, but this TOCA Juniors also will hopefully be a platform for other series as well, right? You might want to get into GTs from here or whatever it might be.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I believe Ginetta Juniors, as much as we all loved them, it is weird to not have them the last year or two. And my understanding is, since they've gone to the British GT support or the SRO ladder, the entry numbers have dwindled a bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know, because I don't hear anything about them anymore, because I only used to hear about the Ginetta Juniors from watching them on ITV.
Yep.
Yeah, and who watches British GT regularly? I don't know anyone.
Well, I know someone who I work with who does, but I think they're in the minority.
Yeah. It's a tough watch. I've tried, and it's not for me, to be honest. Right, so I think, does that do it for news?
Well, I just want to say that the look of the car is it's a portmanteau of like a Peugeot 306 at the front and a Peugeot 309 at the rear. It's very weird, and it reminds me a little bit of the Production Cup. Remember that from like the early noughties, BTC, when they had like 2 classes, although they were front wheel drive. So I'm keen to just hopefully they can rub panels.
Yeah.
Okay, on to qualifying. And it was Josh Cook who took pole from Turkington, Doble in third. Incredible. That Astra is quick again. Ash Sutton was 4th, Ingram 5th, Taylor Smith 6th, Hill was 7th, and Dan Cam is probably the other kind of championship possibly in the running. It was 9th. Aidan Moffat disappointing in 18th, as was Andrew Watson in 19th. Dan Zelos in his debut was 16th, and our boy Scott Sumpton
20th and last.
Yes.
Wasn't it great?
No, and it was changeable conditions, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Should know that the first session was wet, and it feels like maybe only Doble or maybe Aaron Taylor Smith went out on slicks. Everyone else was on wets. Kamish just made it through because the final 2 laps on the slicks were definitely a lot quicker than everyone else.
Yeah, I'd forgotten actually, but it was totally changeable. I was just looking at the times thinking, why is there such a big disparity between the times? That explains it.
They were wet, yeah.
So it was also that, sorry, Colin, something I didn't realise as well at the time is that they qualify on the soft tyres. But they were only race on the medium this weekend. So that could also explain some of the differences between qualifying pace and race pace. If a car's good on the soft tyres, but not so much on the medium.
Very strange to only have one tyre compound this weekend when all year it's been the return of the extra boost, but with the combination of the dramatically different tyres.
Yeah.
But I think I could be wrong here. I think it was because has Donington got parts of a new surface and they were worried about tyre wear on the softs?
Possibly. I literally have no idea, I'm afraid.
I think it is that. Don't take it as a fact. But you're right. There was a lot of talk about saving the soft tyres at the start of the sessions to try and get through to use the best ones towards the end. I think Rowbottom was alluding to that as well. Yeah, that's actually pretty average from him in 15th. I think he got knocked out of his group.
He did, yeah.
Okay, on to race 1. And it was a brilliant start from Colin Tuckerton. He took the lead and held it pretty much. Rest of the race, I don't really remember anyone coming near him. So that was a dominant win, you could say, for Colin Tuckington. Ash Sutton made a jump up into third. Darrell de Leon is off at the top of the hill at McLean's, but we don't really see why. We get our first little bit of controversy, and it's Tom Ingram again.
Yep.
So he is on if you're coming down the straight, he's on the right hand side coming towards the chicane. So he's going to be on the outside for the first part of the chicane, inside for the second part. He is racing Mikey Doble. He gets half a car ahead, I would say, as they're coming into braking. There's a bit of rubbing between the two and they're braking. Ingram cuts the chicane and keeps the position, or takes a position, should we say. Through the next set of corners, Doble tries to go around outside the hairpin and gets run out wide. And then into the final hairpin, final corner, Doble completely mess up his braking as he's trying to defend from his teammate, Taylor Smith, and hits into the back of Ingram, and both of them half spin, which drops them both down. I think Doble outside the points, and Ingram is, I think, 12th at the end of that. Right, the full incident. I'll let you guys have the first crack at it, because it starts with the cutting the chicane to make an overtake from Tom Ingram.
It was just silly, I thought, because he cuts the chicane. I don't have an issue with him cutting the chicane. I have an issue with the fact that he used that to take the place. Because he did back off. Well, I don't know if intentionally or just if he lost speed going through the chicane, but he was definitely behind Doble going into the next corner, but still alongside is the key point. So he didn't then have to make a move to get past him. He just had to sit on the inside and just push his way through. Whereas for me, if you've had to cut the chicane, you should be behind the car, not alongside it.
Yeah, I think Doble's completely messed up here. Maybe, and we can theorise maybe why. Maybe he's got a bit of dirt in his tyres because maybe Ingram pushed him slightly wide, corner exit, which is contentious. Although I do think it's very marginal there. But the contact is, it's out of order. It's a big mistake. They were very lucky to survive. But in my opinion, Ingram shouldn't even be there.
Yeah.
Shouldn't even be there. And this is multiple occasions this season. We saw it against Ash Sutton at Alton Park. We saw it at Thruxton on several occasions, one of them which did result in a penalty. If you're on the outside of a corner, I think Tom Ingram's got this idea. I don't know if it's a workaround or a loophole in the rules where I'm not going to make an overtake. Instead of dropping back and trying to get cut back on the corner exit, I'm going to turn in a bit early, make a bit of contact, jump across the chicane, and then keep the position and maybe argue it later that, I was pushed off. There's no way he should have even be there. But it's ridiculous that he defends or tries to overtake, depending on which way you look at it, into the Melbourne hairpin, in my opinion. Should have just dropped back behind it, would have avoided the whole incident. So he's been hoisted by his own petard. But I just get frustrated that this is now the third, fourth time that he cuts the chicane and keeps the position.
Yeah. Yeah,
Ridiculous.
It is an ongoing theme. And I should be clear, I also agree Doble made the mistake and it's his issue in the last corner. That can't be disputed, but yeah, Ingram shouldn't have been there for him to hit.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at I think we're on board with Hill at the time. And Doble is on the inside white line.
Yeah.
It's such a narrow, shallow angle, so it's never really going to work out. Although, interestingly, Taylor Smith does make the corner, which maybe the tyres are a bit dirty in Doble. But, yep, complete mistake from the Astor driver. But the I-30 driver shouldn't have been there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fully agree.
Could have completely wrecked the suspension in his car there. Very fortunate, I think, to carry on.
Remember a couple of years ago, at the start of a season, Ash Sutton decided to do a new thing where he would just turn in on people. And we got real annoyed, and then I think other people might have got annoyed about it, and he never did it again.
Yeah, he did calm down.
Yeah.
This is something that's coming to Tom Ingram's driving, because he didn't used to drive like this, and he didn't used to do these moves. It's part of his
repertoire now.
Yep. It's a new thing he's done this season especially, and it's really driving me up the wall. Because he gets away with it most of the time, and I don't think he should get away with it. If you're going to police track limits so strictly, you have to police someone cutting a chicane to make an overtake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one might argue he didn't get away with it here because he got smashed into the side. But I fully agree with your sentiment.
Yeah. The only person that got a penalty of that was Mike Doble, which he deserved.
Correct. Yeah.
But if you're going to penalise one, you have to do something with Tom Ingram. In fact, he didn't even get a reprimand or a verbal warning or anything.
No.
It feels like Tom gets away with a lot these days.
Precedent set. And also on a theme of chicanes, remember when we think he deliberately hit out some of the foam at Knockhill as well?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's pushing, he's trying really hard for a championship, so it causes controversy, which is great to talk about and discuss, but it's not on at the minute, I don't think.
No, I did like Tom Ingram. He's, as I say, he's annoyed me a few times this year. So I just want to make, if he cleans up his driving, he'll still make the overtakes he wants to make. There's no reason for it, really, in my opinion. But
the team, and that car were extremely quick this weekend, irrespective. So.
Oh, yes.
Yes, very much.
Bit of patience.
Yes, yeah, exactly. He doesn't need to make those moves. So a couple laps later, lap 3, Josh Cook, who was on pole, is suddenly dropping down in order slightly because he gets the chicane all wrong. Gets a bit wide. There's already gravel on there, I noticed on the replay. So he gets a bit wide, gets slided, and it allows Ash Sutton to get past him. Josh hasn't had the cleanest of seasons, has he?
He hasn't. I still wonder if that is something to do with what I was saying with the tyres. That he's being on the medium tyres when he had done all of his setup work on the softs. Well, I assume the setup work was done on the softs, I should say. And it just has that bit more grip, maybe. But yeah, I thought it was well held to keep the car through there, though. Because that was proper 90-degree sideways.
Yeah, there are two incidents here and two mistakes where he lost positions. There's a chicane with the gravel, and before then there's old hairpin, isn't there, where it's just sideways. I know he's slightly offline or too committed. That lets Sutton get through.
Yeah, that's the one I mean.
Yeah, that's and then I think the one Colin referenced lets Hill through. So that's two championship rivals. I think actually now we can discount Cook from the championship chase, sadly. But
yeah, apologies, I got the incidents mixed up. You're right.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I think actually we discounted him after the Knockhill shenanigans, right? Where he said, if someone can maybe rely on me for some championship help, they can think it's over, but then he bowled a wide and let him through.
Yeah,
exactly. What did happen at chicane on this lap, though, was Andrew Watson having a very spectacular crash, which I thought would have been the end of his day. But the car got repaired and was back out, so he's sideways going into the chicane and goes flying in the air through the tyre stack, which is a fairly chunky impact, which sends him stuck into the gravel, and he's fairly lucky that thing didn't roll. So that we get a safety car there, and again, there's a huge amount of damage to that car, which somehow the guys managed to repair, which is well done to that team, two of us.
Yeah, there was a Boeing in the sky, and then there was a Toyota Airlines on the track.
Yeah.
That was very high in the air, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I still don't know what caused it. I don't think anyone's ever said what actually
No.
happened, but clearly he was totally sideways on the grass well before he got to the chicane.
Very erratic season.
Hmm.
I was going to say, the Rowbottom got a spontaneous puncher, which could have been clipping the tyres, could have been driving over some debris.
Apparently it was debris.
Hmm.
So we get a safety car, which lasts a few laps, and they replace this tyre stack. They drag the car off,
Oof.
kind out of the way,
Yeah.
slightly. But then they don't clear up the gravel off the road.
No.
So they restart with that chicane just covered in gravel. And at the restart, Aaron Taylor-Smith goes off the gravel, gets sideways, and loses about 5 places. He's I felt a bit sorry for Aaron there, because they probably shouldn't have restarted the race with gravel over the track.
Yeah, I did wonder that. I was thinking, do they not have the brooms that they tend to have in F1? But they do. They just don't seem to have them near the chicane.
And that allowed Ingram to get past Camish and Taylor-Smith in one fell swoop.
Mm. I have to say, I'll speak properly, on Aaron Taylor-Smith, when he was interviewed on the grid on one of the later races, and he said, how's it been going for you? And he just went, the problem's been the driver. So he's quite willing to accept that he was not having the best day.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
He's enjoying it, though, again. You can tell.
Yes.
Yeah, because you could say he had a tricky race here, but he still finished 9th. Whereas if you had offered him that 2 years ago, he would have bit your hand off.
Oh, yeah.
So Tom Ingram continues his moves up the grid. He eventually gets past Adam Morgan for 5th position and takes the place there. It was a great dive into the top of the hill.
Yep.
He chucked up the inside.
Yeah.
Very nice move.
Morgan doing his level best to not help his teammates.
Yes. He didn't really have the best of weekend as Adam Morgan, I didn't think.
No,
He's had his moments. He's been very quick in qualifying occasionally and some podiums, but it's still it's not quite the old Adam who would occasionally. I think one season in the Merc he was not necessarily challenging for the championship, but he was up there.
Yeah.
Seems a long time ago.
Race 3-1 specialist.
Yes, yeah, very much so.
Josh Cook then loses 3rd place to the chicane as I confused earlier. That was Jake Hill onto the podium, which causes him up in the championship. I think he might take the lead in this one as well.
Madam.
So, yep, that was a good result for him. Rob Puff loses a couple of places. Aaron Morgan and him had a little fight at the end. And again, Rob Puff just went backwards in quite a few of these races.
Mm. Yeah, the Toyota didn't seem to race particularly well this weekend.
Despite some more further upgrades, I think it had a new exhaust at
Mhm.
Croft, was it? And Huff said pre-qualifying that they've got a lighter rear end and some different throttle maps for this one. And I read somewhere that the Hyundai's had a lighter rear end as well. What I mean by that, I think they're lightening the tailgate, so the car's almost underweight, and then putting ballast elsewhere
Yeah.
to bring it up to weight. So you're playing with the weight distribution, which seems to be the paddock gossip. Not that I'm in it, but that seems to be the theory how Napa was very quick last year, is that they messed around with the weight distribution. They built 2 new cars, didn't they, for Sutton and Camish? And yep, it's very interesting how people think, oh, well, every car's identical under the skin in touring cars, but there's a lot.
No.
Every single other area that you can think of, the teams are maximising. It
Yeah.
really is a development race.
It is. It's the same parts, but it's how you use them and how you connect them all together.
Correct.
So race 1 was only won by Colin Turkington. Sutton closed in within 2 seconds but couldn't make a move. Elsewhere in the championship, Hill was 3rd, Ingram was 5th. Camish, I think we can say, is safely out of it. He was in 8th. And Dan Zelos in his debut race in British Touring Cars came home in 12th for a good return. Scott Sumpton. Sumpwatch.
That was 18th place for this one. He had Nick Houston and the retiring Andrew Watson behind him.
I know we say you shouldn't really judge a rookie driver in the first season, but his best lap time was 7.5 tenths slower. Sorry, but 7.5 tenths slower than like Daryl De Leon in front of him.
Yeah.
That was his best lap. It's not. There was a safety car, and he was still 11 seconds behind De Leon.
Yeah, I think Zelos coming in has shown up a little bit more what a rookie can do. Although I know Zelos has a lot more racing experience in general. He's been around for a long time doing support races, but
Well, this is gives credence to my own theory, so I'll pat myself on the back a bit, which is I think the BTCC support categories are a lot more competitive than TCR UK, which is where something directly came from.
On to race 2 then. And Andrew Watson makes it good. Very impressive. Speedworks got that car fixed. Nick Halstead pits for dry tyres for the race.
Started on slicks. On wets, didn't he?
Yeah, there was a bit of shower before the race. So Colin gets off the line well, manages to hold off a dive from Ash Sutton. Jake Hill's close behind, but Ash Sutton makes a great move on the run up the hill out of the old hairpin, and managed to take the lead.
There was a bit of argy-bargy where I thought, well, I think Cook runs a bit deep to the first corner and there's contact with Morgan.
yeah,
And then he sort of comes back across and that takes Camis out of the running, doesn't it?
yeah, that to me was Morgan getting a bit overexcited a couple of times.
Was it?
That's
Okay.
what I think. It's hard to tell, and I don't mean it's penalty worthy or anything like that, but I feel that Morgan was on his back quarter, which is what caused it. But also Cook did move slightly to the right, so
Yeah, it was like he got ran out wide during the first corner, and he was slow. And you're right, there is a little move, which doesn't help Adam Morgan. Certainly doesn't help Camish, who goes flying across the grass. And I was surprised he could continue, to be honest.
yeah, I was actually.
Normally, if you end up out there and your radiator gets clogged, and that's you done. So Sutton's now in the lead. Tom Ingram's making a little bit of recovery from 5th and manages to go around outside of Jake Hill at Melbourne Hairpin, and then gets round outside the final corner for the last podium position.
Because space was left.
Ian Moffat is in the pits.
Yeah, not sure why.
Do we know?
My guess is broken rear right suspension. That could be wrong.
We didn't see anything on track anyway,
No.
did we?
He's fighting with Rowbottom and Taylor Smith, and something happens there.
They were
I think.
scrambling around the, I think it was the right rear, checking that, and they eventually they did the symbol or the sign for that he's not going back out again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was his dad, wasn't it?
Ingram then finds a brilliant move on Colin Turkington, and he repeats it a few times, or tries to repeat it. He follows the car in front for the chicane, and then blasts a hybrid on the exit.
Around the outside.
Yeah, and it gets him ahead as they go into the hairpin. So I thought that was very clever for Tom, and he did try it a few other times.
As much as we lambast him for his chicane tactics, his chicanery, I should have said, that was really outwitted the opposition there. So that was clever.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice to see.
I almost said Max Chilton there. Tom Chilton's in the gravel, which drops him a few positions. You think that was due to the Chris Mail incident, Nick?
Possibly, yeah. It was one of those I couldn't really see too well because Smiley was wide at McLean's, and I think Chilton had to take to the gravel to avoid it, but I'm not 100% sure.
Chilton, I don't really remember seeing too much of him. I know in race 3 he makes a complete mess of it by trying to go to wet tyres, doesn't he?
Yes.
But
Repeat his win.
Yeah, you're not going to get that twice in a season that often. So, yeah.
It was just too late in the race to attempt something, I felt. Anyway, we'll get to that. He does do a dive on 2 in 1 though, doesn't he? Zelos and Camish at one point. Chilton in this race. But then runs wide.
A brilliant move, I thought.
Yeah.
Just the fact that he came from nowhere, but he got it down the inside and got past.
Yeah, very true. But I do think he ran wide and Camish got back through again.
Didn't see that bit.
Well, it cut away just Maybe I'm completely wrong there, actually. I take it back. Yeah, great move. Well done, Tom.
Tom Ingram is right up the back of Ash Sutton and gives him a clout into the Melbourne hairpin on rear. I don't know like big contact, but it was certainly contact as they were running on board of each other. A few laps later, Ingram then slows, which allows Turkington to get past, and he eventually pulls off to the side and limps back home to the pits. It seems he's damaged his radiator, losing fluid, and his engine is overheating, which ends his race and puts him right to the back of the grid for race 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was caused by a stone that went through the radiator rather than that contact as well. There was a massive hole in the radiator, apparently. As he put it himself, he got sniped.
Alright, fair enough.
Paul O'Neill was very eagle-eyed and let the commentators know that he could see water coming out. And I was like, wow, how is he even seeing that? And they show a replay of the contact. You don't see it, but it's a few laps later.
Yeah,
There's an onboard shot.
What I thought was smoke coming out of the front left wheel. I saw that a couple of times, but I think that was the water just running.
That is the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a shot. It must be on Sutton's rear bumper looking backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And as they're coming around the final corner on the end of lap 8, you can see water coming out.
Yeah.
Ah, well. Poor Tom.
A little bit calmer there.
A little bit calmer, but it did take away a battle for the lead.
Yeah.
It did, but it keeps the championship a bit more interesting.
Certainly.
For a little bit longer. Adam Morgan and Rob Huff in a nice little fight, which Adam managed to get the position going down the Queen of Curves. So that put him up onto 5th at the end of this one, and then Dan Rowbottom manages to get past Rob Huff as well, who came home 7th, but wasn't really able to defend when those guys came up on him.
No, he had a solid weekend rather than a good one. Yeah.
Dan Camish, I thought, did a fairly decent job to recover himself to 12th. All things considered in that one. 11th. Apologies, 11th. All things considered. Considering
you don't want him tweeting us.
No, exactly. You were definitely 11th there, Dan. And the instant error wasn't your fault. I'm being very clear. You definitely got a punt.
Yeah, you didn't just lose it.
Yeah, it wasn't your fault. So, at the end of all that, Daryl Dealey and Nick Halstead were a lap down, and Scott Sumpton
16th, slightly better. He was last on the lead lap, and not too far behind his teammate either.
No, and he was closer to the pace as well in this race. So, not too bad. Race 3, number 11 was pulled out, which put Dan Camish on pole. Ash Sutton helping his teammate out there.
Yeah.
Also meant the Astros were at the point end of the grid again.
Yeah.
Can they pull it off this time?
Well, they spent the first lap fighting each other.
Again.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if it's very advisable, but they did it. So, Rowbottom got a terrible start, lost a few places. Camish kept the lead, and they say the two Astros were fighting. Ash Sutton and Tom Chilton end up going across the chicane, and Sutton is out with damage at that point, which puts him right to the back of the grid. He continued, I think. Is that right, Nick?
He came out 3 laps later. So he was classified. He did finish, but he was 3 laps down.
He was trying to get the fastest lap, wasn't he? But there was a little bit of rain.
Yeah, he was 2/10 off, I think. But
it's contact with Rowbottom that does it, in my opinion.
It is, yeah, same for me. I think Rowbottom hit him, as I think Rowbottom hit quite a few people this weekend.
As we'll touch upon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't go through the race 2 penalties, but it was just Andrew Watson.
Yeah.
He gets his one warning in every race, so he got a verbal warning in that one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, nothing for Dan Rowbottom in race 2, but he did get one on this one, which was with car 20, the contact.
That's Colin Turkington.
Yes, sorry, that's to come. Jumping ahead there.
That's right.
So
just quickly on the Sutton Rowbottom thing, I also do think Chilton's involved as well.
Oh yeah,
it's 3 wide, yeah, but awkward.
Daryl DeLeon pits and Chris Smelly gets a false start penalty.
Again?
Yeah.
Two things are guaranteed at a BTCC weekend at the minute. Dowd Lane does a starting infringement.
Yeah.
And Andrew Watson gets a verbal warning.
Yes. I'm watching the Sutton incident again, and you're right. They're 3 wide. Rowbottom is on the inside, but he looks like he tries to duck in behind Sutton, and
He does try.
Completely misjudges it.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's a very awkward team debrief at the end of it.
Yeah.
You're sacked! Oh, no, wait a minute. Cataclean.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yes. So Tom Ingram then starts making his charge through the field from, I think he started 19th.
Oh, yes,
this
he
one.
did, didn't he? Yeah.
And fair play to the lad, gets himself all the way up to second.
Yep.
The fastest lap. And
I mean, he's 13th at the end of that one, I think.
Yeah. Mad.
Nobody really fights him, or if they do try and fight him, he's so much quicker. It's quite scary how quick that car is. Which I'm not raising eyebrows. It's just incredible how quick that car is.
Yeah, considering that everybody's on the same tyre compound. All right, he's got more boost, but I mean, Chilton and Zelos are in a similar scenario, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, amazing drive. But there's an element of everybody else was falling over each other.
Yes, so he gets past Chilton, his teammate, on lap 2. And then Colin Turkington is backwards at the hairpin. And he is backwards because there's a little bit of shenanigans going on behind with Dan Rowbottom again. He punts, is it Rob Huff? He punts into the side of Turkington, which spins him around. And pretty much ruins Turkington's race 3, and probably, he's not quite out of it yet, but certainly puts a big dent in the progress he was making.
Yeah.
In the championship.
I think he kind of is out of it, and I think he wouldn't be without this incident. So Rowbottom's done Sutton a solid there because he drove straight into the back of Huff, who smacks quite hard into Turkington, spins him round. It's point blank in the rear. Obviously, Rowbottom gets some penalty for that, but the damage is done. Good recovery from Turkington, but
yeah, he does finish 7th in the end, so it could have been
a podium
for him. Yeah, should have been, yes. Yeah, as we say, the Astros just keep fighting each other.
Yeah.
Turkington recovers, and then we get a random safety car, which was for Chris Smiley's car, which lost a bit of bodywork down at the Melbourne hairpin, and we believe that is an incident involving Dan Zelos and Aidan Morgan. Aidan Moffat.
That'll be the one.
Yep, Aidan Moffat. You briefly see a split second in the background where it looks like there's a bit of smoke coming off of Chris Smiley's car, which must be the bodywork. And Zelos and Smiley drop a few positions at that corner, so there's also a bit of contact between the 3 cars, which drops 2 of them back, and Dan Zelos gets a reprimand and 2 penalty points for that.
Yeah, which we can't really comment on because we didn't see what happened, but it was it definitely caused some problems with that safety car coming out.
Yeah. So restart, Josh Cook gets past Adam Morgan, himself up. And then Aidan Moffat is off after contact with Andrew Watson at the chicane. He's stuck in the gravel, which brings out another safety car, and Andrew Watson gets another penalty. So he gets a free place, good drop for Silverstone, which was standard for him these days.
Yeah, it seems to be.
Ingram passes Cook at the hairpin, and Adam Morgan then hits the back of Josh Cook, which drops on both positions to Dan Rowbottom.
Cook's a magnet to issues at the minute,
and
he could have had a really good result here and kept, not through his own fault, just getting embroiled in shenanigans.
Yeah,
again, helping Ingram.
It was quite good in this race for a while, seeing every time Ingram made a move, Jake Hill followed him.
Yeah.
Eventually, Hill stalled out slightly, but Ingram was making some great moves in this one. There is some sprinkles of rain, especially during the safety car. and Tom Chilton and Nick Halstead pit for wets, which was a poor decision because the rain doesn't really come to much, and they're well off the pace when they come back out.
Yeah. I think it was worth it for Halstead, not so much for Chilton, because Halstead had nothing to lose, whereas Chilton could still have got half decent points.
Row bottom loses a few positions, which, again, karma. And drops down the order, ends up finishing in 13th. And Colin Turkington gets past Adam Morgan to take 7th place. Andrew Watson, Dan Rowbottom are fighting the old hairpin, and Sam Osborne managed to get past them both.
Yeah, that was another unexpected double overtake attempt. I think he made it as well. It was hard to see on the actual replay, but yeah, I was not expecting him to do that. But it was really good to see.
He's getting better. He's feisty.
Yeah, he's definitely improving.
All down to Rory Butcher.
Yep.
Doble then drops a few positions from his podium place, so he ends up finishing in 6th. Aaron Taylor Smith is then in the lead car on a big queue of people that want to take 3rd position off him.
Yeah.
But he manages to hold on and take a podium, which I think is his 3rd podium so far this year. 2nd podium this year, which is obviously an improvement for him, but again, he's probably a little bit disappointed that he hasn't picked up a podium earlier in the day.
Yeah.
So I'll finish with Camish, who did well, to be fair to him, with 2 race restarts. Manages to hold on to the win. Ingram was just under 2 seconds behind, took the fastest lap, and Taylor Smith was 3rd. Jake Hill was 5th, Turkington was 7th, and Ash Sutton was a few laps down.
Yeah, and went out the points for that as well.
Our boy got points.
He did, he got 2 of them. I think it's 2 points for 14th anyway. It's definitely more than one. But yeah, 14th place.
There was also a replay in the middle of the race where I think he was diving on Hyundai. Zelos?
Yes.
He was actually scrapping in this one, which is good to see.
Fell well back, but he got Huff on the final corner of the final lap. But I think Huff was really struggling after that contact. I think he was slow in a straight line.
Yes. Yeah,
Don't think the
he
engine could
definitely
breathe.
went backwards.
Yeah, he was very. There's a shot where Hill is so shocked by how slow he is in a straight line, he almost brakes and then goes past him after that contact. And I think that set the scene for the rest of the race for him. Anyway, first win for Camish.
Yeah.
Well done, Dan. Well done. It keeps him in sniffing distance, we'll say. He's 46 points behind.
You've got to be 40. That's our unwritten rule.
Yeah. I still think there's potential for anyone in the top 6 if things go incredibly fortuitously their way.
Yes,
to come back
I agree.
into it. But realistically, it's a top 3 at the moment.
It's a 3-way fight. Yep, that's it. Done.
6 races left, 2 rounds. They have Silverstone and then back to Brands Hatch for the Grand Prix layout.
When Tom Ingram will be a 2-time champion.
It looks like it. At the moment, Jake Hill's 9 points ahead of Ingram. He's taken 6 wins, which is fairly impressive. Ash Sutton is 20 points behind and 3rd. Turkington is 43 points behind and Camish is 46. Josh Cook is out of it. I'm not even going to bore doing the maths. But
No, he's out of it, sadly. I mean, mathematically not, but that's it. It's another year where nearly.
yeah. It looks like Taylor Swift's going to be on for Independent, so he's well ahead of Mikey Doble.
Yeah, Doble's going to win the Jack Sears, right?
Yes, I believe he's in it, isn't he? I haven't checked the Jack Sears rankings. But
No.
I'm sure he's in it because he didn't get. He didn't get a podium last year, did he?
He got a pole position, which we don't mention.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the other one to do? The Wingfoot.
Yes.
What's the Wingfoot? That's the important
I
one.
haven't looked yet. I was saving that till the final round.
Oh, well, Turkington leads it at the minute.
Ah, yes.
It's based on qualified, and he's smashing in those poles at the minute.
Mm.
And yeah, Double is leading Jack Sears by like 100 points.
Ah, yes.
I think it's done. But again, I think we mentioned it before, but Osborne's only in it because of a rule change this year.
Oh, yes.
It's supposed to be for people who have never got a podium, and he has, but he got a podium through someone else's disqualification, so they changed the rules so he could be in it again this year.
I'd forgotten about that.
So Osborne's in second, but he's at long. Ronan Pearson's still in third.
Mm.
Good luck, Ronan. Whatever you do. Right, so that's it. I think for touring cars anymore.
No.
Dutch Grand Prix.
No.
Yes.
You
On
missed
you go
that
then.
word.
On
No,
you go.
that's fine. No,
Go
no.
for
Yeah,
it.
go on.
It's the Heineken Dutch Grand Prix.
Oh, I'm going to be there in 3 weeks, actually.
The Dutch Grand Prix. Sorry,
You're a bit late.
Yes.
You
Oh,
still
but,
finished
the-
before Sergeant.
Exactly. The Haas cars might still be there, to be fair. They have been released now, actually.
They've been
Yes,
paid
they
the bill
have.
now.
They paid the bill. Yes. So, yeah, I'll be in Amsterdam in a few weeks. So, the Heineken Dutch Grand Prix. Bit of news before it. Toto Wolff, let's select the Kenny Antonelli is pretty much signed for next year. And he also made a big song and dance about the fact he apparently had a meeting with Max Verstappen over the summer.
Yeah.
Yes, and then Max had to say he can't remember and he didn't know what happened in the press conference. It's really weird if you've seen that clip online.
I haven't actually, but I can imagine.
Yes, everyone's he's in the press conference with that. It must be post race, maybe. I don't know, post qualifying. Norris and Piastri are just laughing to each other in the background. It's weird.
Christian Horner's done that enough times over the years, so
Yeah.
he deserves a little bit of that back. Haas had their cars pretty much impounded until they paid the Russians some money, which they have done.
Hmm.
And as we correctly predicted last week and announced, Jack Toohan is signed with Alpine for next year.
Yeah, it's good to see actually that one of their young drivers is being used, because I think this is the first time an Alpine young driver
Really?
has actually got promoted to a race seat. Piastri
Well-
would have been, but obviously
Yeah,
he was promoted
Wasn't
after he'd already signed for someone else.
I suppose Joe was, but he wasn't promoted internally, was he?
No, he wasn't promoted to Alpine. He went up to.
That seems to be the rumor that maybe he's a reserve driver there next year.
I can see that happening.
Did you see Alpine's tweet about it, announcing it?
Nope.
It basically copied the first line of Piastri's statement.
That's good.
Which is very good. I like a bit of that. Logan Sargent. Goodbye, my friend.
Yeah.
It's been nice. It's been nice knowing you. He had an absolutely pathetic crash in FP3, which destroyed the car, set it on fire, and he had to miss qualifying. And it was one of those crashes where his crew just completely switched off.
Yeah.
He ran over the exit curb and then continued running there when it stops onto the grass and it spears the car sideways. Which there is no reason for that. That's a Maldonado-esque crash for me.
Yes.
As soon as I saw it, I immediately went, he's done.
Yeah.
And apparently that was Williams' fault as well, because apparently even before qualifying they were going into other people's garages asking if they've got any spare drivers.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just stupid, wasn't it? It's when you're in the position he's in, he needs to make sure that he's not wrecking the car. Because he's got them no points and a massive bill on repairs for this season.
Yes, and so that was the last. Well, we saw him in the race, but that was the last we'll see of him in F1. He was sacked, and they've brought in a young Argentinian driver, Franco Colapinto, which I've definitely not said that correctly.
I think
But-
that
No,
is
I think
right,
we're good.
actually.
Oh, well done, me.
Yeah.
He's done free practices, hasn't he? This
He has,
season?
yeah. He's driven that car this year.
So that is an element of sense. I just
Yes.
realised. I think
Mhm.
very easy to bash it, but I thought actually he has driven the car.
It is, and I still think it doesn't make that much sense to bring in an untested rookie to the end of the season, but if they were going to drop Sargent anyway, the more I think about it, the more I'm pleased to see him give a chance to someone. As long as he doesn't just bin it straight away, then he'll be ridiculed.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if Stoffel van Dawn, Mick Schumacher, Nick De Vries, and Liam Lawson weren't available as well. But who knows?
Mick would be doing WEC, but he always said that he would be willing to drop WEC to do F1.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, why would you replace someone who hasn't scored that many points and crashes a lot with someone who
Yeah.
hasn't scored that many points and crashes a lot.
It is completely bizarre because apparently they wanted Liam Lawson, but the
Mm-hmm.
Red Bull don't want to release Liam Lawson in case they need him to take someone else's seat. Which is
Right.
still a fairly ominous thing to say.
Yes, isn't it? It doesn't really give the other drivers much confidence. Although I think Tsunoda's fine.
There was
It's Ricardo Perez, isn't it?
There was a couple of points regarding RB in particular. That one is that RB are in a championship fight with Williams, so does it make sense to give them one of their drivers? Not sure if that's something or not, but Horner also said if they want a driver for Monza, we can talk about that. And it seemed like he would be happy for him to drive for that one race, but not necessarily for the rest of the season. That's my viewpoint on it. That's not something that's been reported anyway.
Yeah. You're right, though. It makes no sense, to me anyway, this move, because the guy's not going to get the seat next year or the year after because Albon and Sainz are tied up. It's great for him to get a bit of experience, but where's that experience going to lead? And if your whole point in replacing the American boy, Sargent, is that you want a better chance of scoring points, how is this guy going to... Have you got any indication this guy's going to do it?
Yeah, it's weird. I feel conflicted because I'm all for promoting youth.
Yeah.
And sometimes the word experience is bandied about too much. So, let's sign Kevin Magnussen again. But at the same time, it is strange in the pivotal championship fight that a lot of money that they need to pay Carlos Sainz's wages or provide him upgrades, a car that's worthy. Try and tempt Adrian Newey, although it seems like Aston Martin might be where he's going. And here we are with Colapinto, but I wish him all the best, and it could surprise us.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if there had been better choices available, because what you want is, like over the last few seasons, a Hulkenberg, who's someone who'd recently been dropped out of a seat and could come back in with recent experience, but there isn't really anyone like that.
Correct.
You've got De Vries, who has had half a season and disappointed, and I believe he's busy with other programs.
Yeah,
and
Toto Weck.
Vettel, and that's pretty much the only drivers I can think of that you would classify as a safe pair of hands to come in.
Pretty sure Nigel Mansell will return once again.
I don't think he's fit in the car.
Sergei Sorokin, is he still about?
Oh my word! Forgotten about that name.
Yeah.
And who was the other Russian driver recently? Mazepin.
Yeah, that's not happening.
There was talk of him coming back somewhere the other week, and I was just like, what? Who's... Well, I think I know where this rumour came from, Nikita Mazepin.
Exactly.
Have you noticed that there's a proliferation of like clickbaity, bullshitty F1 websites now?
Yes.
There must be good money in it. I saw one where it was like, it was alluding to the fact that Max Verstappen has been disqualified. And what it really was that Max Verstappen's from the Netherlands, the race was in the Netherlands, and Alex Albon was disqualified.
Yeah, they're wording things in a very roundabout way to
really
make it seem like it's actually real.
Yeah, it's like star disqualified at Max Verstappen's home race, something weird like this.
Yeah.
Yes. So qualifying, Alex Albon put it in 8th and then got disqualified because his floor was apparently 3 millimeters too wide.
Yes.
Them the rules.
Yeah.
Every millimeter counts. Lewis Hamilton went out in Q2 and then picks up a 3-place grid penalty for apparently blocking Checo Perez in qualifying.
Yeah, it was pretty blatant, that one. Even though he said I was well out of his way, he wasn't.
Slam dunk. Slam dunk on it. They had to use another set of tyres on Perez's car to get him through.
Yeah, but compromised him and it ended up putting him still 5th, which for him is pretty good.
No, yeah, it's actually this weekend was a return to kind of form, Perez. He did what Red Bull needed to do.
I think kind of. It wasn't a disaster.
Well, he got into Q3.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
He finished in the top 6.
Yeah, not too bad. And then Magnussen had to start for the pit lane because they played about with his car. So, race start. Max Verstappen passes Lando Norris into turn 1 because Lando Norris was on pole, and that's just what he does.
I also should note that Piastri dropped back at the start as well. I think the medium McLaren was a quick start.
Yes.
So both McLaren struggled, and it seems like everyone on that left-hand side of the grid, apart from Perez, kind of struggled to get off the line.
Yeah,
you're right.
He got a
Could be
good
that.
start, and he just got blocked, so he had nowhere to go.
He was about to dive up the inside, which I think would end up putting him fourth if he had pulled the move off, but he had to back out and end up costing him a place to Charles, which seemed a bit a shame for Checo, but he never really recovered that, did he?
No.
We'll quickly go through this race because we're close to an hour. Lewis managed to start making recovery pretty quickly. He started in the soft tires and got past Yuki Tsunoda in a nice move into one of the corners. I'm not even going to try and say that name.
Hans Ernst.
Hans Ernst.
Yeah,
Very
but
good.
it's the chicane near the end of the lap.
Kevin Magnussen ended up off the track, but managed to keep going. Sainz, I thought, put a nice move on Fernando Alonso on lap 8.
Never an easy task.
And then Gasly was a bit of a cork in the bottle. He had a very good race. He was racing with everyone and actually pulled off some very good moves.
Your boy.
He was good, and Alpine wasn't ridiculously slow.
And Ocon was moaning.
Yes. But I thought he had a good battle with Sainz, and then he made some good moves himself and really good defending. Then we get a pass for the lead. Lando Norris recovers. Lap 17 gets past Max Verstappen. Fairly good move, and then just pretty much controls the race from there.
Yeah, that was pretty much it done, wasn't it, from then?
Not an amazing race, but a consummate drive from Norris. Especially in recent times, been a lot of flapping, a lot of stress. I don't know if either of you saw the Formula One YouTube channel, in the break, does these like funny videos where they're all in the studio doing stuff.
Yes.
There's like spot the difference and all this stuff. And Norris is so moody.
Yes, he's so uninterested in the whole thing.
What the heck? Like, even, Max and everyone, people having a good time.
Interestingly, another one of those videos was posted today with Logan still in it.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Which just was like, awkward.
Oh, no, it's already been edited and scheduled, hasn't it, though?
Yeah.
I do feel like Norris does that quite a lot in interviews and media stuff. When he is in a bad mood, he has a little... It can come across as... I don't know what the word is.
Not quite Lance, but nearly.
Petulant.
Yes. Petulant. Petulant's a good word, yes. Yeah, not like Lance Wiedenhausen or whatever his name is. Piastri loses a position to Leclerc early on and never really recovers it. Ends up finishing in fourth. He pits later than the guys in front and makes decent inroads, but then eventually can't. He's just behind Leclerc for the full race.
Pretty much, yeah.
Can't get past him. George Russell makes a rather bizarre decision. He's sitting in fifth.
Yeah.
And it looks like the guys behind are catching him on fresher tyres. So Mercedes decide to pull him in the pits. But he's slow. He's so slow. Like, Hamilton is catching up with him on older tyres.
Yeah, it's just... I mean, I'd see why they pitted him, put him on soft so he can fight his way back through faster, but it just didn't work.
There's a second time that's happened this season. I can't remember when. Towards the end of the race, earlier in the year, where they just give him a random pit stop for no apparent reason. But mate, it could be for all we know, Russell's call, right? Like,
true.
Staying out at Spa was his thing. Roll the dice, go for it.
Yeah,
it failed here.
It did. Decent recovery for Sainz up to fifth. Checo was sixth. Got a bit compromised at the start, but then just didn't really have the pace again at the end of all that. And Lando wins by 23 seconds from Verstappen, showing that the McLaren is definitely the best car in the grid at the moment.
Ooh.
And they're chipping away.
It is, I think.
Do you think?
Yeah. And there were suggestions that Max drove slower than he needed to sort of show the gap was bigger. I don't believe that. I think he could have drove quicker. But if there's no chance of him fighting for the lead, why risk spinning the car by driving too hard?
It was complaining on the radio, wasn't it, before the inevitable move? I mean, I believe I'm right in saying that if Max finishes second to Norris for the rest of the year, He's still champion, so it goes down to fastest lap points.
Yes, I think it was if Norris wins and gets fastest lap in every
Yes.
race, Lando would win the championship by a point.
And I think these conversations are a bit daft.
They are.
Because there's nothing saying that Leclerc doesn't pull something special out, or Sainz, or Piastri does something, or
There's going
the
to be
McLaren breaks down. Yeah.
There's still sprints to come as well, isn't there?
Ah,
I'd
point.
forgotten of this of the sprints. I can't remember where they are.
I'm not. The upshot is I'm not getting carried away.
Oh, no.
I do think the constructors is up for grabs though.
Oh, totally.
Oh yeah, they closed in again on this.
30 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just chipping away. So Lando's 78 points behind in the championship for drivers, but there's only 30 points, as you say, between the two for teams, and that I'm convinced that's going McLaren's way now.
Could you imagine McLaren winning a constructors title?
Well, there's still a possibility that Ferrari could even sneak in there. I don't believe that. I don't think they got the quick enough car, but they're still in with a shout.
But it would just be wild.
It would.
Just saying, after all this time, just mental.
Go
working.
go. The other thing I thought was interesting from the weekend was Magnussen getting passed by 4 cars in one straight.
Yes,
because that's been brought up by Albon now. And apparently Magnussen was driving deliberately slowly around some of the corners to try and keep cars behind him. And he was not full throttle through corners that clearly are full throttle.
So he was kept out again as a sacrificial lamb. He messed up the race, didn't he, earlier on at Tausenbocht. He locked up and went off, right?
Yeah.
So once again, he didn't, at that point, I think he'd been out for ages.
Yeah.
I don't think he was on old rubber, and that was trying to help Hülkenberg. Although, unfortunately, Hülkenberg faded towards right at the end and finished 11th. So they didn't quite get that point. But this has been used multiple times this season.
It is. And I don't necessarily think Magnussen did anything wrong, but
as
we discussed last week, he is still facing a potential race ban if he gets any more penalty points.
But did you notice that he might have been driving slow, but when it came to around the final corner, I'm going to attempt it, Arie Luijendijk boxed.
Well done.
He didn't fight it. So he was doing the job, but he wasn't defending, was he?
No.
In that respect. He backed off the throttle when 5 cars went by him down the straight.
Yeah.
It was only in Miami where he was cutting corners. So
Yes,
exactly.
Yes. He can't do that anymore, but he can at least not pit. Still finished effectively according to the results a lap ahead of Sauber, but there you go.
Yeah,
yes, true. Exactly. Pop quiz, when was the last time McLaren won the Constructors' Championship?
2008. No, I'm going to say 7, actually.
7 they were thrown out, weren't they?
Oh, crap, yes. I was going to say 2008, then I remembered that Kimi and Massa were very close in the championship, so they probably outscored them with Ferrari.
Yeah, is it
back to the Senna days?
90. I was going to say, is it 97?
Do you want an answer?
Yeah, go on.
1998.
Ooh.
Oh!
Mika Häkkinen.
Hakkinen won
the Häkkinen
title that year.
Yeah, I forgot about the Häkkinen Coulthard era.
Oh, well, I'll take 1 year out, but that's still embarrassing. I could see Colin smirking on the Zoom.
Yeah, well, we're bigging up your knowledge last week.
Yeah, I know, and here we go. I've fallen down. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
I think 2007 they might have had a chance, unless if they weren't thrown out. I could be wrong now.
Yeah,
It's both Hamilton and Alonso.
Yeah, I think that probably would have been.
Yeah, would they not have won it if they hadn't got disqualified?
Not sure. But what with 2 drivers in contention for the Drivers' Championship, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah. But they've also developed the car brilliantly, so well done to them. But they've also been rewarded by having 2 good drivers in the car.
And you're correct, they would have won the title in 2007.
So, I still don't think Checo's... Did you see Christian Horner's interview with Natalie Pinkham?
Nope.
I probably fast-forwarded through it.
Yeah. She asked him, why are you keeping Checo? And he tried to turn it back on her going, well, who would you put in the car?
Liam Lawson.
Yeah.
She should have, but it's fair, she turned it round and went, "Oh, is that what you're saying then? You've got no other good drivers to put in? Is that why you've kept them?"
Ooh, that's good.
comeback.
Good twist.
she did. She turned it back on him and he looked like a tool.
Do you know what? I've got a little Horner rant actually
Alright.
to clothes, which is, have you noticed it always has to have a final word at the post-race team radio? Why?
Yeah.
Nobody else does it. I can only think it's for PR purposes to get his name still out there, right? Because the engineer goes to Max, "Yeah, well done, all commiserations," and Max goes, "Simply lovely," and then Corner goes and says something, and he never says anything that adds to the conversation, but he clearly wants to deliberately do it, but he's never thought of anything clever or witty to add in the conversation. "Well done, Max. Well, you really drove a race there, went round in circles for a few laps, so thank you very much." And that's it. So keep your eye out for that. It's the most banal comments you'll hear.
I've noticed it. I mean, like you say, no one else does it that we see of. Toto does come on occasionally.
But only because he's excited.
Yeah. When he shouldn't be on the radio.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually love that.
Yeah.
Whereas with Horner, it's just like some bland PR thing. I don't know.
It is, yeah. Whenever he's being interviewed now, for me, it's always just that, start to listen to it and then think, "No, I've got a fast forward button."
Don't want to moan about anyone else.
I
Crofty? Oh, we'll leave him this week.
don't think it was too bad this weekend.
I didn't listen to him, but apparently towards the end of the race, he was going, "Oh, you never know, these tyres might go off."
Yes.
Ah.
It was, yes.
I missed
We'll leave it at that. Yeah. He kept shouting about Ricardo at the start of the race, and
Really?
realised he was talking about Sonoda
Oh,
after 2
yes.
laps.
That was winding me up as well.
I was like, I can see the difference. How could you not?
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's next for F1? Is it's Monza, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So Monza is this weekend. Actually.
It is, yeah. The
And then-
Cathedral of Speed, I believe.
We'll go with that.
Ooh. So yeah, Monza this weekend, and then it's Azerbaijan, middle of September, Singapore, and then there's another 3-week break after Singapore.
I'll just say that Monza is, I think, the season finale of Formula 3.
Mm.
And it's a championship decider with a British driver, Luke Browning, in third, 6 points behind the top of the table.
Actually, thinking about those tracks you just said as well. Monza, was it Singapore and Baku?
Yes.
Three very easy races to mess up for a rookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A resurfaced Monza, no less.
Yeah.
Mm.
At least you should know Monza reasonably well, but yeah, Baku and Singapore, an unfamiliar car, that could be a challenge.
Baku's where Checo's going to win his race because he goes with Baku, doesn't he? Telling you, I'm calling it early.
I'm calling it as Abu Dhabi.
Yes. It's hard to believe. Still 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 races to go.
Too much of a good thing.
Mm.
Because there's not quite a championship fight, it feels a bit...
Ooh. Yeah, that's very interesting as well. That one thing today I read, I don't know if you've seen this, that they're considering doing a post-season sprint race.
For the rookies.
I've seen that.
Yeah, probably not for this year, but for next year. I really like that idea.
I'd watch that because
Yeah.
they'll just hit each other because that's what they do in F2.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see that.
No, I think that would be a great way to see drivers race these cars, because that's the only other way they'll get to do it apart from getting a seat.
Yeah, I don't think the teams will want to risk their cars like that, but I would definitely be on board with it.
Yeah, I mean, they have to give them their cars for the testing as it is. But but yeah, it would be great.
All right, any more for you guys? I'll wrap this baby up.
Yeah, no thanks.
Right, so next week it will be the whatever the Italian Grand Prix is called. Yeah.
The Grand Prix.
Ciao, Bella.
Yes. Oh dear. Prepare for more stereotypes and misnaming of pastas next week. There is.
I'm very sorry.
Yes, there's no F1. There's no touring cars as of in our 4 weeks till Silverstone. So it's another break after we just had a break. So we'll be back with F1 next week, Italian Grand Prix, where I don't know who'll win that. It'd be funny if Ferrari somehow turn up their injured and win it, and then suddenly go back to being terrible again at Azerbaijan. But that'd be fun. Right, so thank you for downloading. Thank you for getting this far. Like, subscribe, do all the other things that you normally do, and we'll see you next week for Italy.
Thank you very much.